Nobody played well today. Only consistent thing about Fever is their inconsistency. Why? Indianapolis, when Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court for the first time in over 2 weeks, it seemed like it could be a triumphant return for the star guard. After sitting out for 5 games because of a left groin injury, Clark was finally back, and the Indiana Fever hoped her return could right the ship and give some consistency to a team that has bobbed up and down all season. Fever coach Stephanie White made a lineup change Wednesday versus Golden State in hopes of taking some pressure off Clark in her return. She kept Ari McDonald, who had been starting at point guard in Clark's place, in the starting lineup, and opted to go with a small ball lineup of McDonald, Kelsey Mitchell, and Clark at guard. That sent Lexi Hull, who typically starts at the 3, to the bench. McDonald is a point guard at heart, and she shared the ball-handling duties with Clark when the two of them were on the floor together Wednesday. I like the ability to have 2 primary ball handlers on the floor, particularly with a team that comes aggressively in the 2-man game, White said. Being able to play off of one another, being able to give the opponent some different looks, and quite frankly, for C specifically, not having to have her play under duress 94 feet the entire time she's on the floor. There were some things that we liked about it. There are some things that we don't. So we'll continue to work with that. At the beginning of the noon weekday game against the Valkyries, it seemed like the Fever were strong. Clark scored 5 points and grabbed 3 rebounds in less than 3 minutes of play. She had to call for a sub after those minutes, just to make sure she didn't get fatigued too quickly. After all, it was her first true game action since June 24th. It's going to take me a second to get my wind back, Clark said after one of the Fever's rougher performances this season, an 80-61 home defeat. Like I said, there's not really anything that kind of replicates a true game, and I felt pretty good. I was trying to play shorter stints, but sometimes it's almost harder to sit on the bench and then come back into the game. It's just finding a balance of that, but just trying to get my legs under me. Even after a strong start, the game quickly fell apart for the Fever. Indiana was up 30-23 at the 7:43 mark of the second quarter. By halftime, Golden State was leading by 9, 41-32. Indiana only scored 2 points over a near 10-minute stretch between the second and third quarters, allowing Golden State to go on a 24-2 run and open a 15-point lead. Indiana fought back a bit in the third quarter, going on a run to get within 5 points, but Golden State easily recovered its commanding lead to win by 19. It was just the second time this season Indiana has been held under 75 points, and their worst shooting performance, 30.9% of 2025. I thought we played with energy in the first 5 minutes, and then when they kind of went on their first run, it deflated us a little bit, which I'm not really sure why, Clark said. But the offense, I think for us, it starts on defense, and we struggled scouting report-wise. We struggled personnel. We struggled to do what the coaches asked of us. And then overall, they just played with more energy and effort. Those are the things that just can't happen. It's every single person on our team. Nobody played well today. Consistently, a lot of the Fever's losses this season, from the players' eyes, have come from not knowing their personnel. So what's going wrong in the Fever's 10 losses this season? Preparation? Not knowing the scout? Lack of focus? Or simply not being able to execute the game plan? With the exception of about 2 5-minute spurts, our attention to detail was poor, White said when asked about the players' comments of not knowing personnel. I'm not sure if it's not knowing the game plan as much, because if it's not knowing the game plan, then that's a whole other conversation, as much as not executing the game plan. Our attention to detail, undisciplined, I felt like our energy and our competitive fire was not there, and that's disappointing. The players also highlight a lack of consistency in their wins versus their losses. It's an inconsistent attention to detail, an inconsistent competitive fire. The Fever are 9-10 after 3 straight wins turned into 2 consecutive losses. If Indiana wants to be successful this season, it'll have to figure out how to be consistent in its effort. We have a lot of inconsistency, Hull said. We raise the occasion when we're playing for $30,000, the Commissioner's Cup monetary prize. And then we need to bring that level of focus and that level of energy every single day. It's really hard to win in this league. We need to focus on every game, because all these games matter when September, October comes. So it's really just going to come to us. And we really need to regroup, turn the page, learn from this, and come with a better mindset on Friday.